All right.
Right? What is going on? Welcome back to the episode, UFC 265 recap episode. Tapology scores. It's going to be very easy. I think I'm the only person that submitted scores, making me the champ. So, and new already.
Wah, wah, wah.
Right? You got to show up to the fight to defend the title. I'm here with the master of disaster. David Carradine once played him on a TV show. Coach Rage Ing from Engage Your Rage EYR Fighting Systems down at Black House MMA in Hollywood, California. I am stoked that he got to show up today. If anyone couldn't make it, I'm glad it was him and I. So this is going to be a lot of fun and a very quick episode. Thanks for watching. Well, 265 is in the books. You and I both had the opinion that there weren't going to be a lot of surprises or upsets, but there were a lot of great fights. A lot of things happened that still leave questions, especially in the heavyweight division, as to who is next. I mean, obviously we know who's next for Cyril Gane, but I sort of threw in that John Jones factor again, and that his name got brought up at a press conference, and I think it was something Dana White said. We're talking, like he knows what he has to do to make the fight happen at heavyweight, and I don't know what the fuck that means.
I've seen Stipe accepted.
Stipe's name was thrown in there too.
Yeah, but Stipe accepted
Against Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. We just gotta get John to sign on that dotted line, knock that white line down in Brazil, you know what I'm saying? It's a cocaine reference right there. It's a hell of a drug. My picks were, even if I won by default, they were abysmal. It's probably the worst I've ever done on Tapology. I, for some reason, went with my heart a lot. For the main card, I only got one fight right. I got the Casey Kenny fight wrong. I got the Angela Hill fight wrong.
Okay.
The Angela Hill fight, Tisha Torres did everything I thought Angela Hill was going to do, and that's how she won the fight. She was faster, more clever, moved better. It was literally what I had said about Angela Hill. Just Tisha Torres just got it done, which is super awesome. I know your feelings about Angela Hill, so Tisha moving up in that. I think that was her first win off of a 4-fight losing streak, or maybe one close after it. I'm going to bring that up right now.
Tisha?
Yeah. That's her third one in a row. Sick.
Okay. Yeah. She's been doing pretty good. All
right, sick. Yeah, that's good to know. When they said she's had a 4-fight losing streak, I didn't know how recent that was. That was all of last 2 years prior to this year, which is good.
Yeah. All my picks this time around were very blinded by bias.
I think mine were too.
I picked against Angela mostly because she annoyed me, really, but like I know Kenny Casey, so I picked him. I'm really close to Pedro Munoz, who I think underperformed. I think he got a little starstruck and gave Aldo too much respect and went out and sparred with him instead of fought him. And Derek Lewis knocked out my teammate, Alexander Volkov.
Right.
So I picked Lewis because he gets his ass beat, and then pulls it out at the last second. And so because he did that to my teammate, I thought he was going to do that to Gane.
Yeah.
But the two fights that I got right were Tisha and Vicente Luque, but I got his method of winning. I got that wrong.
Same. It's the same one I got right, but I got the round and the method wrong. I had TK.
What?
Wow.
How do you submit the submission wizard, right? When you're a knockout artist, that's craziness.
What is it out here? It was like 3.5 minutes of Chiesa with back control. I'd say 3 minutes of that 3:25. Chiesa had back control. He was going from the traditional rear naked choke to the neck crank style, going back and forth. Lost position, ended up in guard, and I think was going for an armbar from underneath that let Vicente just get up, and in the scramble to get up, just got that deadly Darce choke in, which, as a knockout artist, he has very dangerous jiu-jitsu. It's the same way he finished Woodley as far as the submission technique goes. But yeah, he has 11 knockouts, 8 submissions, 2 decisions. So he's almost 50-50 on his finishing style. But
yeah, but he's known mostly for his knockouts, and
yeah,
Chiesa is
absolutely known for his
strictly as a grappler.
And 4-0 at welterweight, also his first loss of 170.
Yeah, yeah. So Vicente Luque, he's on the map. He's on the map, and he's right at the top of the game now. So he's in the mix up top. That's going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, I don't see why he does not get Usman or Covington, whoever wins that fight. That has to be Luque. I don't see why he wouldn't get that unless like they make if Nick Diaz knocks out Robbie Lawler and they want to make that money fight, which would be financially makes sense, but wildly offensive to the ranking system.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of talent at the top of welterweight. So yeah. We'll see how it shakes out. But he definitely, this was his coming out party.
Yeah, I'd say so for sure. Just if you didn't know the name now, you do for sure.
Exactly.
Pulled up right now and at welterweights. Yeah, Burns and man, damn. I mean, yes, it was 5. Luque was 6, so they're probably just switching spots, and you still got Thompson, who's coming off a loss. That moved Burns to number 2 and Leon Edwards at number 3. So, fuck, man. I still think Luque should get it. I mean, I talk about respect for the rankings. Everyone in that top 5 besides Covington and Burns are coming off of losses. I don't know if Covington's even had a win since he's won his last fight. Is that... Man, it's been so long since
I don't remember.
I mean, exactly. Like I think his last fight might have been the Usman fight because
I think so. I think that was his last fight.
The jaw injury, then the toe injury. Oh, he beat Woodley by rib injury. That's right. But
that was
after the Usman fight. That was last September.
Oh.
Okay. So yeah,
all right.
Well, that's why he's getting the title shot. I guess that makes enough sense. Yeah. But yeah, Burns is the only other person not coming off a loss that's in the top 5 for sure. Who else did I have? Yeah, Munoz. I had TK up in round 2. Starstruck is a great way to put it. I didn't exactly see that being a reason he lost, but I agree with you. I just didn't see that as it happened. But as you say it, I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. In the post fight, there were a lot of compliments on all those jab, which, not being a fighter or a coach or a striker of any kind, it almost seemed like they were saying Jose never had a great jab, and as a fighter as great as he is, that seems like a weapon he wouldn't need to work on. And they were complimenting how, are you giving up the leg kicks for the jab? And he obviously said, no, I'm still the leg master, but jab's a new weapon. I'm like, damn, he's been running this entire time without being like a great jab artist, but he was getting there first.
Yeah, he was strong in Muay Thai, and recently has been focusing a lot on his boxing,
like pure boxing,
pure boxing, true boxing. And Peter Young, the last fight that all had, right? Peter is a straight up boxer, so Jose did a lot of boxing to prepare for that fight, and discovered how effective and useful boxing truly is. Boxing is wholly underrated in MMA. It's undertrained, it's underutilized, it's misunderstood. And the funny thing about that is it's the one thing that you absolutely have to do in MMA. Have to.
We'll tell that to Ryan Hall. No, I'm just kidding. Totally kidding.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. You cannot wrestle without going through boxing range.
Right.
And you can't just kick and without boxing. So it's the one aspect of MMA that's just totally underutilized and misunderstood. And a lot of people are coming from what I call kicking arts, and they think they know how to box, but they know how to punch. And there's a pretty big difference between boxing and punching. Boxing is much more sophisticated, head movement, body mechanics, footwork. So anyway, that's my rant. Sorry.
No, I believe you're literally laying out free seminars for me just to listen to, which I love, because I understand just when I hear fighters talk, and I know Rogan goes on endless about his tale of going from Taekwondo to trying to kickbox and realizing that he knows nothing in the moment that he realized that it's not the same at all, where just range management, footwork, what you have to defend. And then now in MMA, obviously you're adding takedowns, so you don't want to be in the same place you were at the end of a punch in boxing as you are in MMA, because there's level changes.
Yep.
And I mean, Aldo has basically lost to every kind of style except Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but I think his first loss, like when he was like 15, might have been like an armbar. Rear naked choke in Brazil, yeah. I mean, so he's lost to almost every single style, but he's also evolved, 10, 15 years later to being a master of all of them, with pure boxing being, I guess, the last belt essentially he needs to put around his waist.
Yeah, that's a good way of presenting it or thinking about it.
Yeah, and I mean, writing him off didn't seem unreasonable as far as the miles put on him.
I agree. Yeah, I wrote him off.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 fights. He's lost half of those. So he's like 6-6 in his last 12, which, for a guy who's younger than I am, who's fought 30-7, that's insane. That's like Matt Hughes style, similar fight record Matt Hughes had at that same age, but striker based, not wrestler based, where Matt Hughes was taking so much less damage in those fights because of how good he was on smashing you. This is Aldo going toe to toe with every single one of those fighters. He's never changed levels and gone for a takedown. I would love to see his takedown numbers. It's got to be 0.
Maybe. I don't know.
But yeah, that's just, he can't be counted out, which is crazy. I love that. Still has that fire, and he's still improving. So, and it sounds like you watched the post-fight press conference. He wants Dillashaw in December. I want that fight. That's the name.
I didn't see that, but what are you saying?
Okay. Yeah, he just, they were talking about a few names in that division because he's now down at 135, and someone brought up Dillashaw. I'm sure it was John Morgan, and he's like, I would love that fight. Yeah, let's do Dillashaw. Let's do it in December. That'd be great. I'm like,
at 25 at
whatever weight class he's at now, but he said Dillashaw at the weight class. Is he at 35?
I don't know. Dillashaw, just fought at 35.
At 35, and Dillashaw, I think, is at 35.
Yes.
Yeah. So perfect. That's a fantasy booking fight right there. That's a holy shit. That's like 2 great fighters, 2 former champions, 3 to 4 months away. Yeah, I hope TJ says yes to that, and winner gets whoever's holding the belt at the time, which could be anybody essentially at this point.
Who has the belt right now?
At 35, Brandon Moreno's 125, 35. Is it technically Aljamain Sterling? Technically?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's that the Peter Yan thing.
Yeah.
The rematch.
Yeah. Okay.
Why don't I even see that up on the? They don't even have him on the fucking page. There he is. Yeah. Bantamweight Aljo.
That's crazy.
Jose's at 5.
Change.
Yeah, that's sick.
It's like the Olympic karate. Do you know about this? The gold medal match.
The guy who was too effective with his weapons that he got disqualified.
Bro, man. So the Machitas are my team.
Karate? Was it no contact karate, or was there?
It's controlled contact karate. It is a point style karate, but they've gone so far that it's got nothing to do with karate anymore. And the Machitas are teammates of mine. The Claycombs are teammates of mine. So I'm not talking out my ass. These are, world-class karate guys that are giving me their opinions, which is basically what you and I are saying. And it looks like karate's not going to be back in the Olympics. It looks like it's one and done. So here's my thing though. Kickboxing, Muay Thai, and Sambo all just got accepted as Olympic sports. And what I'm worried about is that the Olympics is going to destroy them the way they destroyed karate, taekwondo, and other combat sports.
Yeah, like in this particular instance, were KOs allowed? Well, were KOs allowed as a winning style before this particular incident? But this KO was just so devastating. People were like,
no. So no, KO was always supposed to be a DQ.
Okay,
but
fair.
It used to be if you put yourself at risk and caused and contributed to the KO, then the other person would not be disqualified. So specifically in this last match, the guy that got knocked out lunged down and dipped his head into the kick.
Oh, okay.
So it shouldn't have been a DQ.
That's such a great area. That's such a weird.
Yeah. Can you just imagine? Hey, Grandpa, can we watch your gold medal performance? Oh yeah, come watch me. Come see how well I get knocked out. Like I just can't imagine.
And the guy, so a DQ. The winner goes. Fucking shit! I didn't think about that.
Right?
Win
goes. You got the gold medal for being slept.
How Aljamain Sterling is that?
Well, and that's exactly why I brought it up, and that's the correlation in my head.
I got
you. You know,
I figured out. Fuck.
And Aljamain Sterling's out there making commercials,
holding the belt.
Holding the belt, but I can't blame him for that because there's money there, and fuck that, man. You know, take the money and run. But he knows he's not the champ. Everyone knows he's not the champ, and that's okay. They'll get their rematch, and the same thing's going to happen. Peter's just going to kill him.
Yeah,
it might not take as long.
As much as I'm a huge fan of most people that come out of Ray Longo's camp, and Aljo specifically, I'm a fan of.
Oh yeah.
I just, well, he's not there anymore, actually. I just remembered he left that camp for that fight, or he's out of that camp now and he's in Vegas because he did not.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, what happened was with the COVID at the Apex fights, you could only have, I think, like 2 cornermen instead of the usual 3. I could be wrong on that. He did not invite Matt and Ray to be his cornermen for this particular fight, and he was training in Vegas for this fight, and they were like, "Fuck him, he's done," essentially. Wow. You know, in that Long Island accent.
Yeah.
If I'm wrong, leave a comment below. But I'm pretty sure I listened to enough Unfiltered podcasts with Matt Serra and Jim Norton to have heard that story. But I do think he is now fighting. I don't think it's Extreme Couture or even the homies at Syndicate. But I'm going to find out right now because I love Google.
There you go.
See here.
It's funny. I know people at both gyms.
Yeah, me too. Some of my best friends work at or fight over at Syndicate right now and are on their way up. Just turned pro. Serena, shout out to Southpaw Outlaws, Serena De Jesus, killing it right now over in Invicta.
All right.
Fuck yeah. I mean, there's no details on it, but I think that's the story for sure.
I like Aljamain. I like him. I just you know.
Yeah, I think there was some questionable attitude caught on tape at his post-fight party where he was like walking around with the belt with his homies celebrating. And again, like you said, take the money and run. You know, you got the belt. Peter Yan did something illegal. People question whether or not Aljo could recover or not. It's not our place to say. It wasn't like a cost check faking an eye poke when it was left eye and he got hit in the right eye, you know.
Yeah.
So he might have legitimately not have been able to recover. I've never been kneed in the face like that, so I'm in no place to say.
Oh, I don't think he was playing the rules. I think he was. I think he was done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, which is totally.
You know, but he was playing the rules, keeping one hand down, and that the new rules, the new unified rules of MMA. Both hands have to be down and weight bearing, but it causes too much confusion. So everyone goes back to the old bullshit rule
where it's just one hand.
Hand. Yeah. And then this kind of shit happens where people play and it's like, man, fuck you.
Yeah. I've even heard, specifically, I know Herb Dean has been like, you're playing the game. Because so many people putting their hand up, hand down. I can't specifically remember that fight, but I remember Herb Dean yelling, "You're playing the game." And even back in ONE FC, they had the open guard rule, which was very similar, where if the ref deemed that you were being inactive on the ground and stalling in a position where kicks to a grounded opponent would be illegal, he'd put his arm up and say open guard rule. That means you're fair game to grounded opponent kicks.
Awesome.
I'd like to see more transparency within that rule set, because even the rule is confusing, but then it also changes from commission to commission.
Right.
The last event in Texas, they did not recognize that new unified rule system. So then you're like, shit, I've been at the Apex for like 6 months with this rule system. Now I have to completely remember that it's not in effect in this fight. So
yeah,
I don't know why you've worked for commissions, or you've had,
that's, I don't know why they can't get their shit together.
Why can't every state?
I don't listen.
It's called unified, not divided.
Right, but why can't, like, why do we still have this 12-6 rule? The 12-6 elbow is illegal.
Well, see, like back in the day, some guy he was watching late night.
I understand that.
I'm kidding.
I understand that.
I'm
and every other fucking asshole understands that. So stop embarrassing us and fix this shit.
Yeah.
So there's so much that could be fixed.
You can hit, Coach. I guarantee you can break a brick going left to right as you can up and down. It's the same amount of weight, same pressure. A head kick can probably do more. A knee in the clinch could probably do more damage than a fucking knee or a no.
Yeah. This is the part of the elbow that you want to hit with. This is the part of the elbow you don't want to hit with.
That looks like it would hurt you a lot.
Yeah. This is it right here. Boom. Right. So horizontal elbows are actually much more devastating than coconut crushers. It's just silliness. It's just silliness. But
and I know they're not even open to the conversation anymore as far as that goes.
I know. It's so weird. It's an actual government. It's a sanctioned it's a sanctioning body of the fucking state government.
Right.
And so it's bound to be corrupt and incompetent. And that's the world
I know that they like to defend their own, and they very rarely ever overturn anything when someone within their commission does something wrong. They kind of don't want to look bad. So like you said, corruption, I think also that if they do change the rule, that it'll make them, for as much time as they didn't want to change it, will make them look bad. Like, you should have changed it years ago. Why did you change it? It makes them look stupid.
The other problem, participants have zero input.
Yeah.
So every licensed professional, whether it's a licensed trainer, a licensed fighter, if you're a licensed professional in the fight game, you should have input. Right? And we don't. We should have input as to what the rules are, who the judges are, who the referees are. We should have input over all of that. And we have zero. And we have zero recourse. Here's the recourse. Well, you don't have to fight.
I don't
like it. Get the fuck out.
This is a whole can of worms we don't have to get into, because it would take forever to even come up with any kind of solution. And I'm sure you have solutions, but it's very likely, in my opinion, that it's because fighters are, that big word, non-union right now.
Yeah.
So they can say, fuck off. You don't have to fight. You don't like the rules. See ya. We'll find someone else who needs the money. And I think it comes down to the inability to strike, which.
Yeah. So just for the record, Ray Jing did not kill himself. So.
Do you want to get that same tattoo that John McAfee had that said?
Yeah, that's craziness, right? That's fucking craziness.
That's wild. That's a whole different.
That's a whole nother. Yeah, we're gonna see you. You're gonna make me disappear, bro. Talking Union, McAfee.
All right, moving on from the Union. What is it? The Las Vegas Chefs Guild or whatever the fuck it was, running everything for.
Yeah, the Restaurant Guild. Yeah,
Restaurant Guild for 20 years.
Fucking New York restaurant.
Yeah.
And,
but yeah,
shady shit, bro.
I don't know why they, like you said, you've worked with them directly. I have no fuck. I can imagine how hellish it is to get anything changed.
To be fair, I've worked mostly with California State Athletic Commission. and they really have been good to me personally. Uh, I'm lucky that way. People know me, they treat me well, so I can't talk too much shit. I can talk shit about government in whole. I can talk shit about the specific rule sets, but the way CSAC has treated me over the past decade, I have zero complaints. So
Cool.
I gotta be fair and honest there.
But to be fair, not to shit on that parade a little bit, as much as I love the is this gentleman's name Andy Foster? Is that the guy who's kind of in head in right now, or he has been?
I guess yeah, you can say that.
Something like that. They were one of the, I don't want to say one of the last states. They're still state. New York was definitely one of the last states, but they were one of the tougher states to get MMA into. And even when MMA was allowed into non Native American land, because I know you had to go to Lemoore. You had to go to Lemoore forever.
Yeah.
Even when it was accepted, they still wouldn't allow women into the sport, which we're going back to ancient history on this, but
yeah,
there was a slow progress with California, who eventually became very progressive in their MMA, and so we are in a much better place now than we were.
Yeah,
pre-route.
And it took them a couple years to figure out, like, all to figure out all the logistics and the details, and so it was technically legal in 2006 in California, but it really didn't get sorted properly until about 2000. Really, it wasn't until about 2010.
Right.
There was some really weird, like, hey, let's try this. I don't know. What do you think? And so, but now, and like I said, for the past decade, CSAC has. I personally think California State Athletic Commission is doing the best job in MMA out of all the states.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. Once the wheels got turning, they were they were much faster.
And they actively listen to their panel of experts. So Dr. Gluckman is their medical expert and their neurologist, and he makes very salient points, and they actually listen to him, as compared to like Nevada or other states. So they're actively doing what seems to be fairly obvious. You have a panel of experts, listen to your experts. No,
hey man, common sense is uncommon. So
especially not in government or
right, for sure.
Politics.
Up next, we had the main event. I picked by round one, man. KO round one. I was fucking off the ball on that one. It didn't seem like Lewis could pull that giant cannon of a trigger once in game.
So are you familiar with Derek Lewis's Instagram?
Oh yeah, I'm one of his 8.8 million followers. Damn.
There you go. Right. So he's got the hashtag going. He's okay.
Yeah. When someone is very clearly not okay.
Right. And Cyril Gahn.
Yep.
On his Twitter, it's just hashtag he's okay.
He is masterfully trolling. I loved how he came out to a rap song by a local Houston artist, and as soon as the music hit, the crowd popped, thought it was Derek, and out he comes, and he gets booed. And he says he didn't expect that. He didn't say he was trolling the crowd, but I think he kind of was. I think he knew.
He knows what he's doing.
And I love that in a way. It's funny. It shows some personality. France has a champion, one of very few European champions the UFC has had, a few from Poland. Depends on if you count Belarus, Russia at the time, Europe. I don't know. But yeah, it's mostly Poland has had 2 or 3. Andrei Arlovsky and now Cyril Gahn.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not. Yeah. I don't think Ian Freeman had the belt. No, he definitely did not. I don't think. That's old as fuck. That dates me for sure. But Cyril had a very patient, I wouldn't say crowd-pleasing performance until the end, and definitely not crowd-pleasing as far as the local boy.
Right.
But it was patient and smart. but they're saying this is the guy that can outsmart Ngannou and is a huge threat to that undisputed title. I may not be smart enough to see it that way. I didn't see that performance being something that Ngannou can't deal with. What are your professional thoughts on how that went down and compare it to the fight that's actually coming up?
I think we'll have to see, right?
Okay.
Ngannou, the Ngannou who lost to Stipe, Gon would kill, destroy.
Right.
But the Ngannou,
the next fight was that same style loss to Derek.
the Ngannou that beat Stipe, well, that's who Cyril Gane is fighting. I tend to think that Cyril Gane is actually going to be and new. I have that opinion, but it's too close to call because you got the kiss of death. You just got the light switch,
right?
And the power that just is there at any moment. So when you have a matchup like that, the power puncher just has to land once, and the technician has to be perfect the entire 25 minutes. But man, Cyril Gane is well-rounded. Cyril Gane has a ground game, and Ngannou has no ground game. And
they both have wins by subs. I know Ngannou, one of his first fights was by Kimura. Cyril Gane had that heel hook in Australia. So
yeah.
As ground game goes, they might be equal as far as inexperience.
Oh, no. Gane is much more sophisticated on the ground than Ngannou.
I follow.
And Gane is big and strong.
As opposed to Ngannou, who is not either of those things?
Or? No. What I'm saying is Gane is big and strong even for a heavyweight. It's deceptive because the way he moves, you think he's lighter and svelter than he actually is.
They were calling him moves like a middleweight, which
yeah. But Derek Lewis could not out brawn him or out muscle him. So the reason I'm pointing that out is I was saying, you got the power puncher who is Ngannou, but that infers or downplays Gane's power, and Cyril Gane has knockout power. It's just not, scrape the paint off the wall power that Ngannou has.
Right. He has no all of his KO wins or strike wins. He has 4 knockouts, 3 submissions, 3 decisions. All of his strike finishes are TKOs. They're not astral traveling head in the front row, right, like Ngannou has, which comes down to, like you said, that light switch in either hand, where Gane may take a little bit longer to tactically pull those finishes off. Most of his fights and his finishes don't come in the first round. He only has 3 first-round wins, and 2 of those are submissions, and only 1 of those is a strike. Where you can look at Ngannou's finishing, all of his KO wins, they are almost immediately.
Yeah.
Like the bell rings and you don't remember. You're probably at a rave Rio at that point.
Yep.
So, yeah.
So it's going to be a great fight.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great fight. It's going to be interesting. And it's going to be exciting one way or the other. Right?
Let's hope, man, because there's no way in hell. I mean, we've thought something similar 2 times before, and I think we've joked about this. Houston Alexander, Kimbo Slice was supposed to be that fight. Derek Lewis and Ngannou was supposed to be that fight. I even thought Frank Mir versus both Andrei Arlovsky and Mirko Cro Cop were going to be that fight. So MMA is weird, man, because you can a huge card with these star-studded knockout artists. A great example would be back in the day, UFC 76 was called Knockout. It was Keith Jardine versus Chuck Liddell. There were no fucking knockouts on the entire card, and that was the last time Dana White put a titled name to a UFC event. He stopped, Redemption, Bedlam, Revenge, Knockout. Knockout had no knockouts. He's like, we're done with names. We're just going with numbers. I'm like, bro, that's so funny.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, there's a little bit of history that I just learned tonight, and I do not have any recollection of Keith Jardine versus Chuck Liddell. I don't remember that at all.
Went to a decision. Jardine beat him, dropped him with a left hook somewhere in like round 2 or round 3, and just eked out didn't eke out the decision. Thoroughly beat him up with leg kicks and then opened up on the hands. And Jardine, who at the time I think had like went out on like a 5-loss winning streak, almost all KOs. Chuck could not put him out. I was impressed in that fight. I was never a Jardine fan, so I was very sad because I'm a Chuck fan. But yeah, that was a long time ago, man. We're at UFC 265, and that was 76, so that had to have been like 2010.
So Chuck was with us at Black House. He was helping Glover Teixeira and Potan, Alex Pereira.
Okay,
that was kind of cool.
2007, that fight was, holy fuck. That was the debut of Shogun versus Forrest. That was that same night down at the Honda Center. So
2007, you said?
2007, bro.
Yeah. Well,
and I went to the press conference or the weigh-ins, and I trolled Rampage a little bit because he was doing a question and answer with a fan. I remember that. Yeah. So, goddamn, that was a while ago. And you've been fighting just as long, and I'm just some fan who's over here just shooting. This sport is wild, man, because I get to talk to you. I get to have some. I mean, you keep coming back, and you don't call me You've had no unkind words about my very fan-based opinion, so I really do appreciate each time.
But you know, just because you're a fan doesn't invalidate your opinion, right? And actually, you're a very well educated. Like you're bringing up wins and losses and positioning and you know, I'm like rankings and odds. I'm like, whoa, okay. You know, I just look at skill, technique, strength and conditioning. I don't, all the other stuff it's too much for me to keep track of.
I have to rely on stats a little bit. I don't know odds. Like I know what plus and negative now means, which I just learned is how you what I mean is I learned how that applies to money. So plus 700 is like you bet $100, you win 700, some shit like that. I'm still learning.
Yeah.
But I think I may have to look at things like that because I don't see the things that a professional striker or submission artist would see. I may be like, well, with jiu-jitsu, I have a basic understanding. I train for enough to know what he might be going for, what he's looking for. But if I were to get on the floor with that guy to do it, I would not be able to pull it off. So I have that type of perspective. But like, I'd be like, left hook head kick, and he's not doing it. And I'm like, well, I'm wrong. That would look really cool if he did that, but there's not doing that. And I know that there's a reason he's not doing that. I'm not like, stand him up. Why are they? I'm not the just bleed guy, you know, like, yeah. So I got immense respect for the fighters, the coaches, and just being a super fan who.
What was your opinion of Kenny Casey? Or Casey Kenny and
yeah, I got you. I thought it was Courtney Casey for a while too. I'm like, oh shit, Courtney Casey's fighting. Hell yeah. I love her.
Song Yadong.
Another split loss for Casey Kenny, man.
Yeah. I think he underperformed. I think he underperformed. And I think
I think when you lose a split like that, you may have. If it went his direction, I don't think I'd be screaming at the TV.
Yeah. Man, the fucking judges pissed me off. There was one judge that was just like, what? Every fucking fight, he was just fucking smoking crack and just 30-27. And the other guys gave it. Like, what the fuck? Yeah, right? Was it Adelaide Bird?
No, it wasn't. I don't think she got fired.
I
think she did get fired. Might have been Cecil Peoples. I can name all the bad judges. Mike England.
Cecil Peoples. That fucking guy.
Let me.
Oh my God!
You've heard of him?
I've met him.
What's that shit that he does before when he's roughing and he goes?
Yes.
Like, fucking throws like Tai Chi shit to start the fights, dude.
Like how did you? What? Where'd you come from? How'd you get? Like
it has to be a cousin of somebody or something. I have no fucking clue.
Yeah. And like strip mall fucking dojo. Back at Black Belt magazine from
Big Dojo.
Yeah, Jesus fucking.
Yeah, God. I'm glad he's not with. I don't know where he's at right now. There's a list of people who, I'm glad are no longer visible in the sport. I don't know who the judges were. for this particular card. They do a very good job of only Bruce Buffer says who they are. They used to put their names up and their scores, I think, back in the day. They stopped doing that for obvious reasons because, as we talked about a couple minutes ago, the commission doesn't want accountability for their mistakes.
Yeah.
Which is why they pulled the Eddie Bravo open scoring from like the golden era, the UFC 40 through 50. Eddie Bravo would get on screen and talk about his scores, and they would oftentimes be not only correct, but would conflict with the official scores. And the commission was like, we can't have this guy making us look bad by being right all the time. And they pulled that. Yeah. I do like that they bring in coaches between rounds. They bring in Dean Thomas. They bring in
Trevor Whitman.
The master.
Whitman.
Say again?
Trevor Whitman.
Trevor Whitman. I was going to say Winklejohn, but it's not Winklejohn, it's Whitman. I do love that a lot. And Invicta is practicing with the open scoring, so I do hope it goes that direction.
I dislike the open scoring.
Oh, my God. I'm actually going to disagree with you for once in my life and not have a way to tell me why and then sway me, because I think it'll be easier than me trying to sway you.
Because they cruise, they take the final round off when they win 2 in a row. The fighters. And,
they do that when they think they're winning to begin with.
Yeah, well, this makes it worse. At least that's, LFA, they were in South Dakota, I think, and they were doing the open scoring. And it was pretty consistent where
the guy would just like take down and coast or whatever it was. Or just like, then bring back the Pride yellow cards. Bring out, stalling.
I think, see, okay, I'm going to talk out both sides of my mouth, right?
Oh, I got 2 ears.
The way we got it right now is actually perfect. Judges fucking suck. They get it wrong. And unless you fucking finish your goddamn fight, which is what you're supposed to do in the first place, you're flipping a fucking coin. You're giving away your power. So for me and my guys, my fighters, it's perfect. If you let it go to the judges, you deserve what you get. Fuck you. Do your job. Finish your fight. That's my perspective, right? So having shitty coaches, or not coaches, shitty judges, yeah, right? Freudian slip. Having shitty judges.
Joshua Fabio.
fits in with my ideology. Or we can actually try and figure out how to fix the rule set, fix the scoring, and hold the judges accountable. But as we've already discussed several times tonight, that's just not realistically going to happen anytime soon.
Now, scoring wise, obviously there's endless harping about how it's an antiquated boxing system.
But first, why do you like open scoring?
For the same reason that you don't like it, but the opposite. It lets the guy who knows he lost the first 2 rounds turn that gas tank on in the third. So if we looked at LFAs, if we look at all the modern MMA promotions that do implement open scoring, I'd like to see the ratio of opinion of how many fighters losing came back to win or turned it on versus how many fighters who were winning turned it off. I'd kind of like to see that. If it's a 50-50 split, then it's a moot point. But if it's more in the favor of the guy who was winning taking that round off, then he might have already been taking that round off, but obviously more an obvious incentive. And then if you're losing, you turn it on, but then also you're going to be putting yourself in more danger of losing if you go out guns blazing knowing you lost the first 2, where it's easier to take the brakes on, and coast that third round as a winner.
When Marvin Vittori fought, or Marvin?
You say fought. Is that what you're calling it?
Marvin or Melvin Vittori?
Marvin. It's definitely Marvin.
Marvin, right? Yeah. When he fought Izzy, if he had open scoring, he probably would have done better. But he was arguing with his corner. No, I won that round.
What was the backstory? He didn't invite any of the coaches he actually trained with, or he just ignored the ones that he had? Was that just all it was?
I mean, he was arguing with his coaches.
And the refs. I think the
refs. Yeah.
When all else fails, blame everyone but yourself, I guess.
Right? Yeah.
I never want to fight Izzy, but fuck.
I mean, listen, you gotta, in order to do this shit anyway, something's fucking wrong with you.
It's like stand-up comedy, man. You have to have some trauma in your life.
Bro, wait, okay, reframe it, right? From a stand-up comedy perspective, like a common nightmare or a nightmare that everyone has. You're stripped half naked, spotlights, millions of people locked in a cage with someone that wants to kick your ass. That sounds like somebody's nightmare, but that's the shit fighters get off on. That's like, yeah, that's what we do. It's fucking crazy.
It's sadistic, man. I've never actually, I mean, I'd love to train striking. I love training jiu-jitsu, but I would never want to test my skills against someone. I'd love to try sparring lightly someday, but getting in that cage, man, that's a death wish. I admire every single person that even loses in that fucking thing, man. Like from the lower tiers, I've been to pro debuts of King of the Cage, Future Warriors in Laughlin, to huge. I've seen Randy Couture beat Gabriel Gonzaga. Like every fighter in between skill set is like, that's just its own act of bravery for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's an important perspective to keep. You know, even the guy that loses is still doing more and has more courage than 98% of the population. You know?
Yeah.
So I think that's good.
Words to live by right there. I'm gonna get that tattooed right here.
No regrets.
No regrets. 99%.
Not even one letter.
One thing I wanted to bring up, and I don't know if you've ever heard about this, and it's never really been addressed greatly, is Dutch kickboxing legend Anthony Hardonk.
Yeah.
He's trying. I know you've heard of him, but he's trying to get a scoring system implemented that's a lot more attention to detail on activity. So this is paraphrasing. I don't know the exact definitions and equalizations of his point system, but he wants like jabs to be 1 point, power shots 2 points, takedown 3 points. But if you get up within 2 seconds of a takedown, it becomes 2 points. Shit like that. Do you think that sounds realistically effective? Is it too much to worry about, and judges just want to go winner, loser, round?
It's the same thing, right? We want accurate scoring. We want competent judges. We want better. Better's not going to happen. So give it up. And that would it would take, a consensus to agree upon. A jab is 1 point, the power shot's 2 point, a kick is 3 point. But then that changes the expression of the game.
Right.
People are, okay. So then, kicks are worth more than jabs, so I'm going to throw more kicks, even though setting the kicks up with the jab is more effective, right? So it's going to change. It'll change the game and the sport, and it will become gamified, right? And that actually happened with Muay Thai, where the gambling culture of Muay Thai has changed the sport of Muay Thai. So you'll have the Muay Thai guys that really love it talk about the golden age, which was in the late 80s and early 90s, where it was more about the kicks and the art and the whole of it now, and where now it's slow in the first round, emphasis on the clinch in the second round, so
isn't there some rule where like you can't do certain techniques within the first round or something? Like you can only clinch in the second round or something similar?
It's not a rule. It's not a rule, but it's influenced by the gambling.
Right. So what you're talking about is what I'm thinking of.
Yes. It's not a rule, but it's culturally influenced, and fighters get paid a percentage of the gambling winnings.
Oh, that seems above board. That seems
right. Right.
Why don't they do that in America with every sport?
Yeah.
That's not
so. No. Yeah. So anyway, I see if we have a rule set, if we have a specific, this is worth this is worth that, then that's going to change, rather than the artistic expression of the individual or the most effective expression of the style, or right, it's going to change it based on the rule set, and it will become something other. So I don't support that.
Okay.
I think people should finish their fucking fights.
Yeah, I think it's complicated for a judge or ref to be sitting there like having to think too much about what techniques. I don't hate the 10-9 system as far as the rules that qualify for how you win. You know, it's what a aggression, octagon control, shit like that. Like that all makes sense. It's who's judging again
Right.
that
Right.
doesn't make sense. And they do get either boxers or people with no. Well, Adelaide Bird was like somebody's mom. She had no experience in a sport. Shit like that. And I do understand that you can't exactly get, let's say, it'd be very hard to find an unbiased coach, fighter, or retired fighter, because that guy we saw down in Brazil with Drew Dober, he had a ref who was the coach of the guy he was fighting, who faked the sub, gave him the loss. It ended up getting returned when they found out that dude was corrupt as fuck. So it's a very gray area finding how to find unbiased, non-corrupt, fair.
And you fall bias regardless. I know this guy. I like this guy. Oh, I like the way that guy fights. That's more exciting and interesting to me. You know,
right?
The best rule set that I ever fought under: if you don't win, you lose. So you could have two losers.
Okay.
Time expired. Nobody won. Fuck you both. Go home. You lose.
So very Hoist versus Sakuraba.
Yeah.
I love that.
And it was that era. It was in the dark ages. It was like probably 98 or 99.
That's my bread and butter. I mean, it's all my bread and butter, but that is, I hunted those tapes down with vengeance.
And that was formative for me as a fighter. It changed the way I thought about fighting. It changed the way I approached fighting, and it changed my style of fighting. And it's like, wait a second, that's how it should be anyway. That's what we're here to do. We're here to fucking win.
It separates the fighter and the athlete, in essential.
Yeah, and you know, at a core level, metaphysically or spiritually or psychologically, we're here to be autonomous. And I step in the cage as me, and nobody can tell me anything. And there's one guy, and it's mano a mano. And then we fight, and one of us wins. But the second you look outside for approval, you give away that autonomy, right? So that's kind of how I see it too, where it's like, oh, did I win? Did I win your approval? Do you like me? Do you like me? No, fuck you. I'm here to fight. And I win, or he wins. It's that simple.
Yeah. That reminds me of that kid. I don't know his name, but I know Shinya Aoki. He was like, hey, Japan, put a peace sign, and immediately got rear naked choked because he was playing to the crowd.
That's right. That's right.
You know, it's a gift, too. The guy's just like, Shinya Aoki is on your back, and you're putting your hands up.
Yeah.
One of the best submission guys and fastest submission takers ever. Playing up the crowd, hi Japan, and just immediate fastest rear naked
Troop.
It's like, I'm like, this kid he got whatever belt he has just got demoted back to life.
Yeah, right.
So that is how we're going to wrap up the episode. We are going to be back for UFC 266, Alexander Volkanovski versus Brian Ortega, and Valentina Shevchenko versus Lauren Murphy. That is going to be September 25th. God, that seems like a year away. I can't wait for that fight to happen. Either one of those. I'm going to wait for the Ultimate Fighter that's currently airing. I'm going to wait for the day of the season finale to binge watch the entire season, because that's how I roll. I hate going week to week on that shit because it just stresses me out. But I cannot wait to discuss these picks with you, Coach, and I really appreciate your time coming on here.
So real quick, Friday the 13th, we are fighting. I've got two fighters fighting in Fighters Rep, which is Unified Rule Kickboxing. It's at the Seal Beach Sports Center.
That's down by the Olympic swimming pool?
Yes.
Yeah.
So my fighter We call him Toro, Luis Moreno, and there we go, and Michael Claycomb. They're both fighting. Anderson Silva will probably be there because his son Gabe is defending a title, and his son Khalil is making his debut. So that's Friday the 13th. If you can join us, that'd be great. If not, check out Fighters Rep, and they have an online pay-per-view.
I'll drop
and
the
then
link for sure. Get that real time.
awesome. And then the next night, Saturday night, I've got Raymond Martinez and Kobe Hatcher fighting in Sparstar at Commerce Casino, and then we also have teammates from Black House. Anthony Romero is fighting for the state title. Mark Pacquiao is fighting, and Christian Diego is fighting. So,
and the ones at Commerce are the kickboxing or MMA?
That's MMA.
Okay.
So kickboxing on the 13th, MMA on the 14th.
That's awesome, man. I'm glad live sports are back. Hell yeah. I can't wait to make these. Once again, I've been Chris Kennedy, Coach Rage. Absolute honor. I mean that. Bow to your sensei. You guys have a good night.
All right.
Cool. And